Yo, welcome to another video, guys. Today we're going to talk about HOH Returns. We're going to get 10 units to choose from. We will be able to pick 2. It's a batch of 5 and then another batch of 5 in a month from now. So we're going to take a look. I'm going to rank them as far as how I think how valuable they are currently in the meta. And then I'm also going to tell you how you should go about picking, because even though they might be the most valuable in the meta, does not mean that's the one you should pick. All right, coming in at number 5 is the Karl, guys. I think he is the worst out of all 5 of these. Now, he's actually not terrible, but the problem is he really requires like a fat Lucian type of set to do pretty good. So he comes in at number 5. Definitely not the greatest. His S3 is really all he does, and then he kind of sits there, waits till he gets it back. He can counter some commune defenses, for example, but he's really just, I would say, the worst out of this batch. Coming in at number 4 is the AKASHA. Her S3 is actually a 3-turn invincibility. She's actually not bad, but the other units are actually just better than her. I do have a video of an amazing Guild War offense that I use. You can check that out. There should be an info card linked up top if you'd like to check that out. But she comes in at number 4, not because she's terrible, but because the other units are actually better than her. But just because the other units are better and more useful in current meta does not mean you should pass on her, okay? So just hold tight. So number 3 is going to be the Water Barbaric King, guys. He is actually really good. He really is. He turn cycles himself. He brands. He steals attack bar. Just really amazing. He has fallen off the meta quite a bit. Ever since two-way Vigor came out, whenever you need that water DPS slot, it's just Vigor provides a little more with the 3-turn defense break and the healing, the speed buff, the anti-crit. So the two-way Vigor is really what kind of just sent this guy into oblivion, and we don't see him that often, but make no mistake about it, he's still very good. So number 2 is the Shimate, the Wind Sylph. Him and the Barbaric King, you can interchange them, but this guy does bring an arena leader skill. You can use him for that. He's still very good. He does insane damage. He scales up his speed, so his kit really works. He can kind of help with the leader skill, which the Barbaric King only provides a leader skill in Guild War. So I personally, like I said, you can make the argument that you can flip these 2 around. It's really whichever you prefer a little more, but I do prefer the Shimate over the Barbaric King. Like I said, Vigor kind of nullified the Barbaric King. And coming in at number 1 in the current meta is the Clara. There's just a ton of Claras out in Guild War and Siege defenses. So she is definitely the most meta monster. Her perfect AI is really what sets her apart. She strips into a stun, but unfortunately there's accuracy and resistance checks, so she doesn't always do it. But her power comes from not being able to derp. So overall, like I said, in the current meta, these are my rankings. Now, does that mean you should pick Clara? No. I honestly suggest, guys, picking the LDs if you don't have them, all right? If you don't have any of the light and dark monsters, please pick them. The reason for that is you never know when they're going to get buffed. You never know when they're going to get buffed, and this goes for the following month's HOH as well. Please, if you're missing one of the LDs, they're not that easy to get. First, you've got to get sparks with your LD scrolls, and that doesn't always happen, right? Matter of fact, it has not happened for me in my last 70-something LD scrolls. So even though they've been HOH, if you don't have them, I would highly suggest you pick the LD units because, like I said, you never know when they get buffed, and you want to have them in case they do. Look at Ileana, for example. She was so bad, and now she's actually really good. Now, second way to decide on how to pick, I would say is, if you've got the LD counterpart of one of these and it's actually good, for example, if you've got a Mimir, you definitely want to pick the Barbaric King and skill him up. So if you've got an LD counterpart and you need skill ups, maybe the dark one here, the dark Purette is really good as well. So you can base it on that. If you need skill ups for the LD counterpart, then you can pick one of the other ones that you need. But if not, there you go. You've got my rankings. You got a little breakdown. So let's go to month number 2. All right, so for month number 2, guys, we've got the little penis here, lupinus. And guys, please don't pick this. You can fuse this. You can fuse this. And you might say, hey, I need skills for my star, for Necro. Well, then, okay, if that's more important to you, that's the only way. If you don't want to waste resources fusing this, that's the only viable reason why you would pick this. Or if you need skills for like an Iris, for example, then okay, go for it. Aside from that, again, you can fuse this. Do not pick her. She's definitely number 5 on the list. All right, number 4 is the light assassin, the Natalie. She recently got an okay-ish buff, but she's still just not quite good, guys. She's kind of just niche. You have to kill in order for her to spread her silence, which is not that great in my opinion. I'd like to see her get fixed and say if you bring a unit down to 5th gens or lower, then you put a 1-turn silence on everyone else, something like that. But she comes in at number 4. Again, if you need skills for one of the other ones, you can pick her, but I would probably pass on her. Then coming in at number 3 is the Dusky. The Dusky, guys, actually does some pretty insane damage. I think he's actually a little underrated, but he's still definitely not meta. He's not the greatest unit either. There's a lot of units that could do a little better than him. What helps him is his element neutrality. You know, you're not going to be glancing because of element disadvantage, but he's not terrible. He's worth a look. If you don't have him, for sure take it. He might get another buff, you never know. Coming in at number 2 is the Arnold. The Arnold's gotten quite a few buffs, guys, and he's actually pretty good. I use him all the time in G3 Siege and Guild War, countering some Molong teams, man. You put him on double Nemesis and Will, or even triple Nemesis, and he kind of eats up the Molongs. The Molong will reckless him, proc his Nemesis, and then you can one-shot that Molong. Very, very useful. He's actually pretty underrated as a fire tank with pure damage. You just stack as much HP on him, and he can perform very well. All right, and then when it comes to the meta, definitely Tetra is the most meta monster out of this bunch. She obviously counters Giannas. She counters so many things like Rika, for example. Anything that does a lot of debuffs, this is your go-to unit. Nephthys, man, Nephthys owners. We hate seeing a Tetra on the field, especially in RTA. So I would say if you don't have a Tetra or you haven't built one, and you've got everything else, I would highly suggest you take a Tetra, you skill her up, you build her up. She's really good, guys. So those are the rankings for next month's HOH Returns. Again, guys, don't forget, I highly do suggest you take the LD monsters that you don't have first. Like I said, you never know when they're gonna get buffed, especially because they're LD units. I feel like there's a higher chance for them to get buffed. So there you have it. That's my take on this, guys. Do me a favor, destroy the like button if you made it this far, please. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. So destroy the like button for the algorithm. Maybe destroy the subscribe button too. So these are my rankings for the HOH Returns. If you didn't know, now you know. You know.